There we go. So, Davey. Even though everybody calls you Davey, we verified this upon meeting. Good to have you here, my friend. Wrench and a badge. On this final episode of Fantom Friday, we say goodbye to the thorn in our side. It's been quite the experience. So, not quite what I had in mind here. This is our normal 10 p.m. PST. So, what we're doing here on this final episode, a little unorthodox. We're gonna fly a little bit loose here. Now, I originally wanted to go live earlier this afternoon. Fridays are crazy. Stuff happens. It is what it is. You know, then I wanted to do something more official, you know, more clean cut. But I'm like in the weeds over here. So far to where, like, this album that I'm working on, like, the Fantom is so far in the rear view, like, I haven't touched it since the last episode. But it's been wiped. And it's all the way back. Still got the EX, though. So that's one thing about it. When you wipe this and take it down to factory settings, the EX remains. So you could still get your money's worth trying to resell it if the person on the other end cared about such things. We're not really getting rid of it for that reason. But we are going to do what we're going to do locally. And what I mean by that is, you know, somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, anybody in the Seattle or Portland, more specifically, closer anyway, region up here, and we're getting rid of it on the low. But we're done. We're done with all our business with the Fantom here. You know, there's some content, you know, that we wanted to get through. But we're going to do something that we haven't done tonight, and that's go through, you know, presets. If anybody has any questions, you know, like I said, I wanted to do this earlier, you know, so I know that people in the States aren't really up this late. You know, and I got, you know, early obligations in the morning, but I could still meet those and doing this at this time. That said, you know, our friends across the pond over here, you know, getting up in the morning and all that, you know, there's more Fantoms over there than there are here, which was also another reason for the EX difference over here. So, first things first. So this is page 2 of the menus. It starts off with, you know, with a few of the, you know, like projects. You know, these yellow ones are, you play them and it goes. Anyways, so this sound isn't true to form of what the Fantom sounds like. You know, I got it hooked in through an analog mixer, you know, that's hooked in through the interface with SSL 4K transformers on it. So it definitely doesn't sound coming out to you guys and to me even what this actually sounds like. And I'm not going to go through the examples. I already did that in previous videos. I got other stuff to do the examples on. But it's pretty staggering, you know, the difference. And what's crazy too here is that the difference in the sound quality in the headphones going direct in versus the output is different. And I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that there's a difference here between using these main outs, between using the XLRs and the TRS. It doesn't matter to me. I'm using the TRS for a very specific reason here, and that has nothing to do with the Fantom over here, but it has everything to do with the interface. So running this through the analog mixer, through the channel, it's definitely, if you want to get a good sound quality out of the Fantom, that's what you want to do. You know, if you got like a SSL Big 6, even better. You know, I don't have the money for that shit. So, you know, a couple $100 for this mixer, you know, it gives me all the channels I need to hook everything else up. Now, I could do other things in here, you know, going through it. I was going to do a few of the examples, and maybe we will. So, you know, if anybody comes on here and has any questions or anything, you know, I've had this on and off for 3 years. I've produced, you know, a few instrumental albums with it, and still have projects. You know, drums were on some bullshit, but, you know, reworking those, and thanks to the EE Ski drums, and those are out of here too. You know, what I put in here is now out. But I'm gonna do some things to get, you know, maybe I could get some clips later for content. But for the most part, I'm just gonna kind of run it kind of loose here, and just kind of I don't know, do what I didn't do. I went right into making beats, and you know, we kind of had this conversation when I got rid of the Fantom the first time. And this is the second time getting rid of it, so I'm not going to make a big old thing about it, you know. But I wanted to set everything up and, you know, get the proper lighting and everything, you know, and go through at a time to where there was a lot more reasonable volume to be able to discuss and go through. You know, we could go through the convoluted process of sampling so everybody could see that. You know, that's a fun time. You know, now that I'm not restricted because I'm not hooked into the Fantom because of having the analog mixer, you know, my dialogue here is completely separate from this, so I could hook whatever into this. So I could show you guys the importance of time stretching, you know, and hook the mini freak in here and, you know, sample away. As a matter of fact, I think I already have a sample that has to do with that on here. But, you know, whatever. Like I said, it's going to be kind of loose. Like I said, other obligations, but I will, in the future, you know, with having this set up before it goes, I am going to be recording the content. I wanted to do that more in a live setting, but what I realized with having the multiple cameras, I cannot do that in a live setting. So I have to use one or the other and clip back and forth. So what I may do over here is just take some of the stuff that I did here and include them into my my final word on the Fantom, but I want to make sure that everybody around here who frequents the channel and people who have Fantoms and have questions that I might be able to answer, because how long I've had this for and everything that I've done with it, the things that I do know now. I don't know everything, you know. There's stuff that they've added to it that I haven't even dug into, and there's stuff that I won't even touch, like you know, the pads. You know, I'll mess with them, but I'm not going to get into pad mode and start doing a live setting. So. And, you know, some of these presets aren't that bad, actually. And this is post-EX, so I actually took some of those scenes that they gave with the EX example. I don't know how many of them have them in it. We'll see here. You know, one of the things here, and I discussed this at the beginning of this, you know, when installing the EX, is that if you want to get any of the ACB action on the EX, you're going to have to go into the first track, you know, and that goes with the German piano as well. You're stuck on one the entire time if you want to go there with it, you know. So now what I did here is that I just added the ACB pad to this, and the reason why it sounds somewhat similar is because with these three lit up, that means all three of these channels are working at the same time. So these sounds, what I just put in here, the synth effects right here, and another one on the horror pad over here, and they're triggered as long as these are triggered. So this is just the two and not the three, and it's just the one, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, that's the cool part about the hardware. And the main feature here with the Fantom is doing the immediate layering. So, cool for that. Great feature. It's an awesome thing to have for hardware. And it's not like a lot of hardwares have this, you know, as far as a workstation goes. You know, we'll get into that in a second. Just taking our time and relaxing here, folks. And if I want to add another one, add the other one, and it'll sound like... Oh, there's already a synth in there. Look at that. And just like any DAW setup or anything, you know, you adjust as such and do whatever. So awesome, and it could go the distance. But once you start adding stuff, so this goes synth all the way through. I wonder, I mean, you could fill them up, you know. Is this one? Take that one. Get the idea. Anyways, so cool, you know, a synthesizer, you know, it's awesome, you know, it's good on them. So obviously, as somebody who you know, is cut from the cloth and goes directly into beat making, and I'm like, synthesizer, I'm all for it. I'm down with the synth, but, the reason for this was as a workstation. And it was confusing when it was released because they didn't call it a workstation, they called it a synthesizer. And it's weird. Because we've always known it traditionally to be a workstation, in the previous Fantoms. And you could kind of understand as you dig into it the reasons why, because there's a lot of workstation elements that have fallen by the wayside. But, if they pick them back up and, dust them off, they could do some damage here with it. But, screwing the pooch and all that. So, important menu here is the main menu. Hit the menu button and go to the effects edit, and the audio in is where everything goes. Usually it starts you right here in the front, but I already, went over here. You have to hit this parallel SW to get both channels in, and then you just plug whatever in. And that's where we would get the thing on the pad over here to do the... So it has whatever preloaded in there, because when I wiped this machine, it wiped everything else, so it still has the stuff that they put in here. So, you could just sample it, I guess. Let's do that so you guys can see, because there's a lot of stuff that I've left out of the process here. I did that video of me doing the harmonica with when Curtis King got his little thing off of Amazon or whatever, and I did that. But that was an edited video. It wasn't something that I was showing the process of during the process of making it. So while you guys got to see the screen over here when I was in the middle of doing all of that, yeah. So what I'll do is I'll kind of pull up how I've been using it, because the lack of time stretching isn't really that big of a factor in the pads, because if you set the pads to the tempo of whatever project you're going to use, then you could just do it that way, because they are trigger pads. They're not meant for performance, but you could use them for performance, and there is an element of them that are meant for performance when you take it to pad mode. We're not going to do that because these SP404A pads are so prehistoric that the 2018 pads that I have fly miles ahead. And I understand the reason for having the size in here, but they could have went a little bit more over here. There's extra room on the 7 and 8, but I understand the room is limited on the 6, but they would have sold a lot more Fantoms if they did performance pads versus trigger pads over here. So let me take this over, and I have them set to the same volume or whatever. I'm just going to go with my TRS over here into, I'm just going to do this ghetto shit right here. So real quick into my cable, because we're just going to do the little things into the trigger pads. Okay, so. See, I gotta move this thing back now. I gotta move this whole thing back. I thought I had more clearance on the wall. My bad, guys. Which means I'm gonna have to adjust the camera too. Maybe not. I'll just pull it down some, push it back up. Yeah, you didn't lose nothing. You didn't lose nothing. You guys are good. So right now, it's not going to have any problems with anything, because in order to trigger whatever you have hooked into the back over here, you have to have this audio in triggered. So it's not going to buzz out on me or anything like that. You guys aren't going to hear the cable connect. It's going to be completely free of buzz or hum or anything like that. And let's just get a feel back here. And these are whatchamacallits. So, and we'll just hang this, here, let's get this ugly thing out of the way. We'll just hang it on the side, because we don't need it to hang over the Fantom like that. Alright, and technically here in the Pacific Northwest, it is still Friday, and what we will do, let's see, because it's Friday, let's see if, here we go, the beginning of it, right here, see this one?
I know this, but I'm gonna get you high today.
There we go. We'll take this whole thing. The reason why I got this one, because, you know, phones don't have this in it anymore, so I had to use the old phone. So there we go, you know, and I have it hooked in now over here, and I already have it in the line. Now, if I had the XLRs hooked in, I would just trigger this and change these lines here to mic. If I had something that required Fantom power, like right now I'm using Fantom power in the mixer, and since I'm not connected to this, but if I were connected to this, because I'm using a cloud lifter, and I'm still using the cloud lifter in the mixer, because it's just a little extra. Just that little extra. Yeah, so, you know, doing this, you just do the Fantom power, you know, on the side that you're using. Obviously, you don't have to use both sides. So, no, nope. You're going away. Go. Cat trying to run under here. She knows better. She knows ain't nobody here. Just me and little Tussinn. Okay, so trigger it in, and then you could hear it.
I know you don't smoke weed. I know this, but I'm gonna get you high today, cause it's Friday. You ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
Okay, so I want to sample that, right? So it's fine. You don't have to back out of these menus. You could just go straight from here. It depends on what your choice is. A lot of these buttons are just kind of like everything else with hardware, especially when you're dealing with, you know, a workstation or flagship or anything like that. A lot of the buttons affect the same change or a lot of different ways to do the same thing. So you could either do it from this or do that, or, you know. So you could back out from the menu over here. You could just go straight to the sampler or whatever and go, you know, sample, and, you know, sample to the pad, because that's what I want to do. I want to sample to this first pad over here. But the thing is that you got to know which one you're on, and there's different pad menus and stuff like that. We'll get to that or whatever. We're just going to sample this real quick and then pull this out, and then we're going to sample the Mini Freak or whatever, so you could see the difference. So, Kev Human, welcome. I should take that last one off. All right. So, sample to pad, boom, already exists. Okay, yeah, it's already filled up. When you get it, all these are already filled up with whatever. Oh, it didn't even trigger this one. It triggered this one on the bottom over here. So who cares? You know, it's fine. It's not a big deal. So, there's a couple things you got to do here as far as like your input goes. So you got to make sure that it's on the right thing over here, you know, whether it's going to be in the keyboard in the input, or just the keyboard or just the input. There's also a lot of things too that have been updated when it comes down to the sampler. Well, not the sampler, the first time that they updated the sampler, but they've been adding new things to like record mode and other stuff here. So as I go through some of these explanations, we're going to run into stuff that's like new to me, because it's a new feature that I haven't explored yet. I don't think there's anything here on the sampler specifically or whatever. We're just going to go with auto trigger here, and all the other stuff is going to come in afterwards or whatever. So we'll do this auto trigger here and just hit play on it.
I know you don't smoke weed. I know this, but I'm gonna get you high today, cause it's Friday. You ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
Oh, there we go. Stop. And I'm not just going to pull it out because I have the audio in there, but I don't want to mess with that. Oh, I'm not going to mess with that anymore. See, I messed it all up. Now I got to go back in there and do all that again. My bad, yo. Here. Here, let me do this. Let me do this top one. All right, override that one. My bad. Trying to go too fast here. See, I said it's supposed to be slow and calm. I'm over here being hyper. That's what I get for drinking coffee at night. All right.
I know you don't smoke weed. I know this. But I'm gonna get you high today. Cause it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
Okay. Now, before we unplug this and do this, let's get the sample going. So, start point, end point. Obviously, it came in low through the whole thing, but you could actually preview it over here.
I know you don't smoke weed. I know you don't smoke weed. I know you don't. I know you don't. I know you don't smoke weed. I know you don't smoke weed. I know you don't smoke weed.
You know what? We could just make a thing over there. That's what I had first started doing, and I was like, okay, let's do it. And I was like, all right, we're going to do it that way. And then I started playing them and doing that with my project, and it just, I couldn't even get through the first half of it. So it doesn't work. But, you know, that's not the point that we're going to, the start and end point, you know, let's figure it out here.
Smoke weed.
Let's see.
But I'm gonna get you high today.
It's over here.
Friday. Cause it's Friday. Cause it's Friday.
And the end point, I'm going to do this zoom over here because the zoom will take it. And you can actually see that on the screen. Look at that. Hooray. Rogue status. Yeah, man, it's been a minute. Still got that wrench, I see. How's it going, man? Yeah, you've been in it for a minute. How you doing, man? How you been? Good to see you here. Okay. Here we go. Sorry about that.
Cause it's Friday. You ain't got no job.
Okay, so the end point, we're going to do over here. Probably about here.
Cause it's Friday. Cause it's Friday.
Let's zoom in a little bit over here and get the end a little bit. Now the question is...
Cause it's Friday. Cause it's Friday.
Nope. Take it out a little bit more.
Cause it's Friday. Cause it's Friday.
Nope. I just don't want
Cause
that.
it's Friday. Cause it's Friday.
That's a little better. Okay, so a few things here. So that's what we want here out of all that. So first of all, sample utility, truncate, you know, cuts off all the edges that we don't need or whatever.
Cause it's Friday. Cause it's Friday.
And it's actually already here.
Cause it's Friday. Cause it's Friday. Cause it's Friday.
So the gate's on, we're going to take it off and then...
Cause it's Friday. Cause it's Friday.
And that's the difference between that, or you could turn the gate on and loop it.
Cause it's Friday. Cause it's Friday.
Or gate off and loop
Cause
it.
it's Friday. Cause 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 it's Friday.
So, and there's a effects thing here.
Cause it's Friday.
But I don't have anything selected for that. So this, I don't think the effect was on there when I first started messing with this or whatever. So yeah, I mean you could keep it at that, sure. Like,
Cause it's Friday.
it sounds like it could be louder, but this is the thing here. So all the things that you have here to do. I mean, obviously rename, you know, whatever, you know, clear all, Here, let's just do fries and Y's and fry. Okay, so let's sample utility. What else we got here? We got rename, we did that. We did the truncate, we could delete it, you know, who cares? You could export it into a WAV file. So you could take your samples from here and export them out. And that's kind of, you know, okay, I guess. You know, there's no reason not to be able to do that. And then you get normalize over here. You know, the thing is with normalize, normalize just makes it really loud. And it doesn't really help what you're sampling unless what you're sampling is really, really low. So if you're sampling at a regular whatever, you know, I guess, you know, you can use your judgment. If you're keeping them in your pads, these things are stuck in your pads forever until I erase it and put something else in here. So this whatever, if I normalize it, there's no unnormalizing. There's no denormalizing or undo or anything. I normalize it. It sounds like shit. I'm going to have to resample it. So I'm just not going to normalize it. I'm just going to leave it as is. And there we go.
Cause it's Friday.
There we go.
Cause it's Friday.
Now I could change it and dial it in and do whatever, you know, with the zoom in here. You know, you could also, you know, if you need your spectacles or whatever, you know. I mean, it shows it really low, but it's really, you know, kind of...
Cause it's Friday.
So, yeah. Tyrone Sellers. What is good, my friend? Because it's Friday, you know I don't have anything to do. See, and that's what I put on that other one, because you ain't got shit to do. And that's what I was just showing the folks here how I've put this on, because I've done all this stuff off camera. Like, I the first thing I did when I got the Fantom in, what was it? It was... the very end of 2022, so 2023 just about, the very beginning of. So, yeah, so that's pretty much it. The other sampling is doing it through the keyboard, and you guys have seen that, me doing samples through the keyboard, especially running through doing the drums and everything. So I'll spare you guys the uselessness of that. So anyways, back to the effects edit. So if I don't want to sample anymore or want to do something else, so just take the trigger off the audio in, and then I could, you know, move this around and do whatever, and do the other sampling. Oh, let me get to these comments real quick, because I gotta check you guys out real quick. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, man. I definitely hear you. I had one of those kind of years beforehand, and hopefully climbing our way out of it now. We're kind of teetering. But I hear you, man. I hear you. The struggle is real for sure. All right, let's get these out of here. So let me wrap this up. Over under, guys. Yeah, quickly. All right. So, this is where the shit gets incredibly real. I'm gonna have to move this microphone over a little bit. And I anticipated this madness, so let's get through here. Just may change the lighting temporarily. You can kind of see it peeking its way. All right. Here we are. View up. sir. Now I can move this up and do whatever, which is what I should do. We'll see. Welcome everybody. It's good to see some of the OGs up in here, some of our friends who have been here since the beginning, and the Fantom here, it's like bittersweet, it's what started it all, but in the end, you guys already know the contention here, but that's not why we're getting rid of it this time around. I mean, it kind of is, in a way, you guys will see in the content as far as that goes, but, you guys already know the deal. All right, let's plug this mini freak in. All right. Oh. Nah, I could hang there. All right. Stick to an abstract patch. I had to walk my mom through her update and getting the patches on there. So she's got more presets on hers than mine. All right, take this up a notch. Let's see what we got here. Fantom's playing without playing. Now, there is a way to hook this in to where you're just operating off the engine and playing it through here. That is the MIDI through, I believe. But we're not going to do that here. We're going to demonstrate something else here, something that I found out right away, and it is especially problematic with mono synths and stuff with long waveforms and stuff like that. So anything like mostly pads and stuff like that you could identify with a specific time. And a lot of you guys know where I'm going with this. Here we go. Let's do a sample here. Let's sample to the keyboard. She wants to hang out in this little cubby hole here that I just made by moving this stuff over. That's what I get for moving my stuff out here. Hey! She's gonna try to get through. Don't talk to me. I love cats, but god damn it, they're intrusive. Alright, so this is an entirely different menu than what we were looking at before. It's because it's going to the storage into the user bank and going across the key bed. That's the difference. So it goes somewhere else entirely. One thing you got to make sure to keep an eye on more than anything here is where the destination is that you are sampling to. You could see I already have something in there. Now if I had some muscle memory going, or I was just moving too quick, haphazardly sample over it, then I lose whatever sample I put in there. So you always got to make sure that you're going through an empty bank or whatever, which, lucky for here, it's the third one. So all these other menus in here, there's auto trigger, there's keyboard to input, one-shot loop mode. It's all the stuff that are the settings for the pads, but it's just front-loaded into the sample and saved to the internal storage, which it already kind of does anyway. It's just the difference of whether or not you're going to save it to the internal storage menu versus the user bank menu. And we'll get into that in a little bit. That's just kind of more of a mess. There's a deep rabbit hole down here as far as the storage goes. That's one thing that's great about the Fantom. There is so much storage space, and it's weird to wrap your mind around how it is allocated because it separates it by type. So it's specific to like drum kits, user presets, and you know, just other stuff that you do. But we'll get into that in a minute. Well, a few minutes maybe. Just taking our time and relaxing here. Okay, what are we doing here? Save to internal storage. We're not going to do that. No intentions on that. Auto trigger, probably. Yeah. Just give me the serum. Now, here's the thing. And I'm not being scientific here. And I have no idea. I haven't tested this. And it's too late for me to test it anyway. Even if it fixes everything. You know, I'm, like I said, I'm knee deep in the weeds of this album so far to where I haven't touched this since the last time we went live with it. And like, I'm done. Like it's over. It's just taking up space now. So I just need to find the right person to hand it off to. So since they did an update on here, not recently, it's been, you know, a couple updates ago, there's a tempo here. And this doesn't reflect whatever tempo is in here. I mean, it could. What's the tempo here? The tempo here is 90. So if I change it, is it going to change that? Yeah, it is going to change that. So is it technically time stretching the sample to that BPM? The answer is no. That's not what's going to happen here. Okay, let's see what I want for a sound first. I was explaining to my mom what time stretching was. She, you know, stayed over here over the weekend, and that was, you know, one of the reasons why we were so busy, you know. But I was showing her here this whole process and how important time stretching is, and how the fact that, you know, if you're playing and what you're playing doesn't fit, you know, the tempo of what you're playing in, then it shifts and it doesn't go along with it. It changes. So you can only hit one note or maybe an octave lower than that, but it's the difference in just playing one key at a time or being able to, you know, play across the board, which is like, it's a soul crushing experience. Let me find something here. I'm trying to remember the good one that I found that was real cool. Let's see. No. It had an abstract name to it, but I also put more presets on here too. That would be a good example, but... Okay, here we go. Here we go. And that's a sound effect. Here, let me do something else here. I want to do a pad. There's a very specific one. The crazy part about this is that this is the Mini Freak going through the Fantom, going through the Yamaha mixer, going through the SSL transformers. Maybe. Want to do maybe a sequence. Sequence is too obvious. I want to do something more practical than that. That's why I didn't do that other one. That's why I didn't do the sound effect one. There we go. Perfect example. Okay, I'm going to let it clear the top area over there, because if I hit it without clearing and I hit auto trigger, then it's not going to auto trigger. I'm going to have to do it manually. It's fine though. and say you want to like do whatever to truncate it. I mean, you could preview whatever when it pulls up. It's not. It's a totally different sampling process than doing the pads when you're running it across the keys. But running it across the keys is why you need time stretching. And you'll see. And look how much time this is taking too. Like to get like just one specific wave down. Like it'd be simpler to just record a bunch of this into like a DAW or something like that, export those, and then just import them in that way. You know, put them on the system. So let's see if it starts wherever. That came in low. What a difference. Man, that recorded low. Maybe it's because this. Nope. Just recorded that low. Talk about dramatic differences. Alright. So, let's go into the endpoint real quick. Definitely here, let me zoom out first. So these are a lot different. You have a utility menu over here. The utility menu puts the rename, and that's about it. I mean, the rest of it's just copy, you know, all that, or delete and move, which, you know, doesn't make any sense in this menu right here. So let's see. Let's go clear all, mini 01. Be funny if they resolve the time stretching on here. So the modify is the truncate, and something that exists on a lot of the samples. We'll just leave it at that and let it do it. And then there's an emphasis. Where's my thing at? Now, I don't know how long the emphasis has been a part of the sampler, but it's there now. And it actually works. So it may be able to bring it up to levels. But that's the thing. Once you place it, you can't unplace it. If it doesn't work, the best you could do after that is normalize it. And what happens if you just totally compress it and screw it the hell up? This is where it starts falling off again. You're like, okay, well, you know, because like, god damn, that's low. Like, you could do effects with it and do whatever, but the best you want to do to modify it is do the emphasis. You don't want to normalize it, you know. That's like a last resort, because it gets too loud. And it's crazy how weird it just throws it off. And it's like, why didn't you just record it right in the first time? Well, you know, the volume isn't up as much on that, but it's up enough to hear it. So that does nothing. I mean, it does a lot. I mean, that sample was like a really good example to use. So I may get away with it, actually. All right, so I guess we'll normalize it. There's no undoing this process. Are you sure? Oh, I'll just spit on here. My bad. We'll do it live. Stream live. You guys didn't see nothing. What would be even weirder if I just did it and didn't say anything about it. And it was like, oh, this motherfucker would spit fly from his shit. Hey, I'm all the way over here. Look at that. Okay. A little closer. All right. So semi-successful. I mean, it doesn't sound as good, but it's acceptable. You know, what it doesn't sound like is, you know, the difference of the engine over here. So, okay, let me see if I get a better start point over here. Where am I? Yep, I'm not going to get any better than that. Okay. So, we're going to keep this. Okay. So, normalizing did it. And then right, obviously, you know, to whatever. And there you go. Jeez. So now, though, I mean, the advantage, it's right there on the project. So, and because it's already saved to the thing over here, you know, when I do, because I haven't made any changes, if I go to write the scene, it's not going to pull up and say, hey, you got to save this new thing here. You know, so that's the difference here. You don't need to save your tones because the tone's already saved in whatever you sampled. So I'm just going to do that to save it there for whatever's sake. So, all right. Now, before we do this, let's get this mini freak out of here. Get the effects edit going and get the audio out. So that way I could unplug here without making a strange noise, and I could have my leg space back. Okay. All right. So, let me move this aside. Oh, we ain't done. We'll get to the fun stuff in a minute here. Besides, ain't this a blast? Alright. Baja Blast. Drink that bullshit around here. Alright.
Cause it's Friday.
Oh, I didn't record the You Ain't Got Shit to Do. Ah, well. Alright. My finger and don't kick it over. Okay, here we go. So audio out. I'm not going to plug anything else into it. I don't need to as far as demonstration goes. Now, the effects edit, you know, I don't need this parallel in here because I'm not going to use that anymore. There's a thing over here for pads, so you could go in and edit all the effects in the pads. That's the one good thing about this. Like, you could set an overall tone to the Fantom in the main over here. So like you could take this all the way to the front and you know, go through the outputs and put in specific effects. So like if you want your Fantom to have a little bit of brightness to it or whatever, like you could change your overall master level of it. And anything that you put in here, you could put the effects in here as well. So it's good in that regard. Cool. You know, I mean, if you were so inclined, you know, the one thing about the Fantom more than anything is that it leaves a lot or most of the work to the user. So whatever sounds you put in, you know, they've gotten a lot better with the sounds, especially with the EX and, you know, the enzyme's a complete game changer, you know, when it came down to it. But it's exactly what it needed. It needed some original sound, which is exactly what it didn't have. And it still doesn't have much of that, you know, after 2 years, especially because there was no update to the enzyme. Now, if this were a sliding wave or something like that, it wouldn't go with it. or if I were to move it. It's gotten a lot better, I'll tell you that much. I'm also able to dial it in a little bit. Okay, so the whole point of everything would be to do it from the system instead. So there's a few things you could do here. The system is mostly, as far as the menu goes, to run through everything. Like the lights are a little too bright for the camera. So in order for the camera to not be tripped up by it and it, you know, getting all fuzzy and all that other stuff, I had to take the brightness all the way down of these right here. So the screen first, so it gets all blurry, you know, once it gets brighter. So I got to take it down to the lowest brightness, and same with the LEDs on here. So there's a lot you could really, you know, affect on here as far as everything goes. You could set the aftertouch, you know, yeah, your arpeggiators, like you could set everything ahead of time, and it's just, it gives you so many different options as far as everything goes. And here you could see the version here, the EX 101, you know, on the build, and that was because, you know, even wiping it, you're able to retain everything. So in the utility menu, you know, that's where you go, you know, with the wallpaper, you know, they added something to where you could do user wallpaper. Typically what you want for your user, you want something that's formatted. This is one of my old drives that I had formatted. All my backups to restore and everything are on this drive, and you know, some of the other stuff. So like I could always put my stuff back on, just plug this in the back and do a restore on it. You know, when you do the factory reset here over it, so it asks you over here as far as things go, and this is something that's new that it didn't have before, but apply pad sample, apply keyboard sample, and then it says apply internal storage. Now, I think the reason why the EX was able to retain after, you know, wiping it is because I did not apply internal storage. I wanted to see on the internal storage what remained. And it did wipe all my samples. It wiped everything that I put on it, but it kept the EX. I didn't want to try whether or not it doesn't, because then I'd have to go in the process of reinstalling it, and you know, even though it's, you know, it would take a while, you know, as far as the time goes, and I didn't want to get into that, you know, so yeah, let's cancel that. You know, you could format your USB over here, the info over here for things. You know, it'll show what you have for the expansion. So, you know, this is where I've confirmed that all my samples are wiped. So you go to expansion info, and that's where it pulls up all your stuff. In case you were wondering, the other way to get there would be to go there through the main menu when you're powering on your Fantom, and who wants to go through all that? 39% space used, and that's with all the supercharging of the Fantom. Was the first update that came after the sampler was updated, you know, and that had the Jupiter 8, the Juno 106, the JX8P, and the SH101, and yeah, these are all the expansions here that it has it, and then the V Piano expansion, the German concert, and then the ACB expansions, which it has the 3 here because now it has the JX3P, and I think there's another one that goes with that, but you may have to purchase it or whatever. import, you know, I won't go into that. Well, I mean, I guess I could. Yeah, I mean, you could just import sample scene and everything. It's just, I don't have my thing hooked up. I guess I could do that. Oh, I got the, shit, I got the video that I did on it. All right. That was one of the things, too. Part of the problem with not having, with doing this live and throughout the cameras or whatever. Yeah, so it's just like anything else. Basically, what you do when you import it, it just takes the file and moves it over to your internal storage. So it's just like moving files over or whatever. I do have a short out there that shows me going through the process of taking the EA ski drums and throwing them in here, because that's the first thing I did when I got this Fantom back right before I installed the EX. Get back over here. I want to do a little bit of playing around real quick, and then how was that? We're still making good timing here. And one of the beauties to having an analog mixer hooked up when you add the effects. Welcome back, David. But you could do all that in here. However, this is where the problem comes in. Sonically speaking, it's kind of weird because it sounds best directly through the headphones, and directly through the headphones you could crank it all the way up. But like I said, this is not scientific. I haven't verified this, but it does seem like there is a different level of sound whether I use the XLRs or the TRS. But, you know, man. So, my suggestion to fix this, I mean, the thing is that it's not... Yes, it's kind of muddy, but not really. It's kind of Roland low end, but it's kind of I don't know how I could explain it. It's like the Roland low end, but subtracting the sonics that makes the low end like so girthy, that has so much width to it. And when you take that out of it, you just got muddiness, really. So the good thing is about the SSL over here with the 4K, it takes all that out. It's a little too bright, though, so I got to dial it back a little bit when going into the DAW. Now, the reason for going into the DAW is because originally, and I don't know if they fixed this yet, but when you can export here, as far as a project goes, you could only export your project out to 16-bit, which is fine for sampling. But if it's a workstation and you're sampling a whole project and then you're going through the convoluted mess of actually exporting your project, which I'm not even going to go in here. I do have It's now my second biggest video, not my first biggest video, but it is the Roland workflow, and it's a lot different settings because my cameras were a lot different and the settings were a lot different. And I'm going to do another one. It's going to be the final one here as far as that goes. And I'm just going to add whatever elements I can to after that. But yeah. Sorry, I didn't cut my nails either. So, there's something to be said about exporting a project. You know, there's been a lot of discussion over Sonics and exporting projects through Flagship or whatever. In my video, I go through the convoluted mess of exporting the project, which takes a lot of time. And that's not the reason why I'm not going to go through it. You know, that's one of the reasons. But I'll link in the description that video. But this is also going in the playlist where that exists as well. Yeah. So to go through all that madness just for 16-bit, you know, when the traditional recording, you know, as far as in the modern world, if you're trying to get a project out, you know, I understand sampling at 16-bit. That's kind of where you want to be at in the sample range. But when you're recording, you know, you're recording at 24-bit usually, you know, and there's people that are all the way up there, you know, and go up, you know, there's people that are doing more than that, you know, and that's fine, you know, whatever, you know, 32-bit, I guess, you know. I haven't dove into recording in 32-bit or anything, and I wouldn't expect any kind of Flagship, even in 2019, to include that as a capability. But if you're trying to use this as a workstation and you're utilizing everything that is on here and you're picking up a beat to put it over and you're not stemming it out, you want the sonics and the sound quality to be there. You know, and it says a lot if you're just pushing it out in 16-bit. You know, if you take a 16-bit project and you're, you know, recording in 24-bit, you know, yeah, you know, you could do whatever and it'll sound whatever, and you could still, you know, make it sound good or whatever. It's just crazy, and I understand why it happened the way that it did. So I don't know if they changed that or not, but that was the step one and the reason why I had to get an interface. You know, and getting the interface, you know, cleaned up the sonics a little bit, you know, and especially adding the splash of SSL, but it did not save these drums here, which yeah, definitely. And it's the way to go, you know, and that's the thing about this too. You know, I cut them a lot of slack on that, just because usually when you get something like this, you get it for the purpose of plugging it into a mixer or into the studio or something as an instrument. So because things are traditionally done that way, you know, I cut it a lot of slack. You know, I was like, okay, that's not that big of a deal. You know, the big deal was the pads and then the sampler, you know, and I know I didn't get a good idea of time stretching. It's because every time I do it, I try to fit it within perfect, and it actually worked out a little better than I thought. So hopefully, you know, that'd be cool if they cleaned it up a little bit, but I haven't gotten any verification on that, and it's too late anyway because I've already done with my business here. But you know, the good thing about the drums here in the Fantom is that there's enough kits to cover the spread on types of sounds, so there's a lot of good acoustic standard kits, and like what I usually end up doing is I end up just going to the kick menu. There's a kick with compression and kick without compression, and it basically gives you like there's not not a lot to work with, you know. It's like, and the guys who make the 808, you know, the guys who make the 909, you know, it's like, and there's a TR 808 in here, you know, and yeah, you could dial them in, you could, you know, add effects and do whatever. Well, you can't do effects in the menu over here. So like you could dial in drums and, you know, get weird with it and everything like that, and dial it in. But yeah, that's like the chief complaint, you know, is that you have all this stuff as a workstation, but they really slipped on it, you know, in a lot of ways. And I think the reason for that is they just threw in their drum sounds, that they didn't put any kind of flair or any kind of extra attention on them, and it kind of takes all the character out of it, you know, so there's really no character in the drums, even though the drums run the spread across the board. And in order to clean them up, you have to stack them together, or just, you know, just really dial them in. And it's too much work to get too little out of it, you know. And you know, having something like the EA Ski drums really made a huge difference, and, you know, kind of supercharged the Fantom in a different way. Once we play the drum machine as a multi-out, yeah. 16-bit is old school and outdated. Yeah, you know, it's fine for specific things, but we're talking a workstation. And yeah, I mean, that kind of represents Roland as a company, you know, old and outdated, you know, I'm sorry to say, you know, which sucks because this technology here, the hardware, is so much ahead of its time, to where they're like, oh, let's just repackage it and put it out there. You know, it's fine, you know, except for the pads, you know, it's like, But what are they going to do? Rework the rest of the hardware? It's actually pretty decent. Look at, you see that? You see that in the corner there? You see that? There's a little tail. Get out. Go in the curtains. Psst. Go. Psst, psst, psst. She knows better than to get too close to my stuff like that. She's looking out for Mom. Yeah, so I've made decent projects with them. I've made good projects with them. I've made great-ish projects with them. I guess it's yet to be seen, but you know, taking them up and getting third-party drums is definitely the way to go. Which sucks because when you think beefy drums, as far as companies, who do you think has it? Who has the best drums out of all the companies? One would say Roland, right? They're right there at the top of the list, aren't they? So it's crazy to have that kind of history and availability and technology. And they don't suck. It's just when you take the sonics out of the main part of it and leave it up to the user to do it digitally, yeah, it's cool and it'll color it, but you're still missing the very element that you've removed from it, you know, by not using, you know, a chipset or a technology that would resemble, you know, converters or whatever in it, and it's funny because, back in the day, it's like, they don't teach you or talk to you about, converters. It's just the technology being a certain thing, even going to audio production school, ain't nobody talking about no converters, but, you're talking the difference in technology. You know what everybody else is talking about in audio production schools, analog versus digital, and using, analog stuff still. And that's still the sought after, sound. But if you put this sound in comparison to the previous model Fantom, which is, I believe, the G series, or is it the X series? I think it's the G series, right? Was the previous one? You guys will have to correct me in the comments later on. Yeah, so, it was because of that I thought there was time stretching in the sampler, and, the velocity shifting and all that other stuff, but the sound sonically, though, you put them side by side just on the outputs alone, not whatever you put it in to color it, not whatever thing, you just plug it in side by side. There is a difference in the sonics, and I understand technology changes, and the more desired of today's is more of a flat frequency response, and that's kind of the thing that all these companies are going for, you know. But the hardware here isn't good enough to leave the work to the user when there's not enough sound in here. And I guess my biggest problem, besides the technical aspect of, the pads and the sampler being inadequate, is the fact that, the sounds are all from older synths, which is fine, but it's only a few of them. The Juno 106, Jupiter, 8, and, the SH101. These are all great synths, especially the JX8P. Like, I love it. And the JD800, and having that adjustable aftertouch is great. Having the ACB like this, it's great. I know people say it's unstable, but I like that instability the same way that I like the polyphony skipping, which only happens really with the convoluted, enzyme, model expansion. So if you are not heavy on the enzyme model expansion, chances are you won't really have much of an issue with the polyphony skipping. However, if you get into layering, like the main event here is, the main purpose of the Fantom is, you will run into polyphony issues, even if it's just piano you're playing, even if it's just basic, even if they're basic patches. It has improved greatly, but it still exists as a problem. But that's not the reason for me, getting rid of this, a second time around. The reason is that I've outgrown it. I'm working on, a hip hop album. I'm working on music that doesn't involve me using this stuff. And when it comes to like the Fantom and the sounds in it, the enzyme is great, but it's the best sound of what's in here, and it's the most unique and the most fresh. But pigments, that chroma, even phase plant, there's these things that really give hardware a run for its money. And another thing with the Fantom, other than, making the user mostly responsible, is the desired goal of Roland here, and they screwed the pooch on this one too, was to dig into their ecosystem in the Roland cloud, and then pull your stuff from there and put it on here, which you can do. However, the dongle doesn't work. So I wonder if the dongle works with the EX keyboards. I mean, they didn't change the hardware, I don't think. Sorry, let me get back to these comments here. I forgot the well-known and not only known for sound quality. Iconic 808, yeah. So, yeah. And it's just like, it's it's these little attention to details that kind of separate one piece of gear from another. And the Phantom is in a class of its own because its competition doesn't have the features as a workstation to build drums and patterns and songs and stuff like that. Because the competitors here are what the montage now, M or whatever, and what would be it would be the Chronos, right? Is the competitor here? Is that the thing now? I don't know. I always known the competitors to be the Triton, Phantom, and Motif or whatever. But those are all different classes too. Because if you were to have a Motif versus the old Phantom, they're totally different types of workstations. And even though you're not making certain things, I've seen people, go nuts with the Motif. But I just assume use the Motif rack and just use my own whatever controller with it. They really did a great job with the hardware, but not being able to put in or access. What the dongle does is you plug it in the back, and it basically accesses your entire iCloud or Roland Cloud library on here. So you could take the synths directly from the Roland Cloud library and just play it and affect the change and save the patches onto your thing. But you can't do that. You can't do that because it doesn't work on the Phantom. It only works on the Juno 106, and it only works on or the Juno, whatever, the newer models, the newer model Juno, the newer model Jupiter, and I think it works on another one that they put out a newer model of. But these Phantoms and the O series, as of I think last year, as of recent as last year, those dongles didn't work on here. So it's kind of shitty to have a flagship that's supposed to be representative of everything that Roland has, and it's only little bits and pieces here and there. And then you're talking old stuff that has been recreated time and time again throughout the generations. And then the only thing you got new is the enzyme, and that's cool, and that held us over. But 2 years, and they're like, okay, we got this enzyme. And we're like, what the hell? We already know about the enzyme. We've been using it for 2 years, god damn it. We thought there was going to be an update for that. And they're like, no, we're just going to charge you, but we'll give you your money back, but it's not going to be the difference of what you paid. But like, it's not about the money to us. Like, we don't care. We'll pay it gladly. It's just, give us some newer sounds. But, people look at it, and I guess rightfully so. I guess I could see the perspective of the Phantom owners just being whiny babies about it. That's Roland's perspective on it, that, we're either novices who don't understand our equipment, or we're just being babies about something that we should, because we could do all this stuff in it, and because of that, we should be loving this thing because of all the stuff that we can do with it. But it's like the simple things, like having a new sound that competes with today's sound, and having anything that is representative of today's sound. And the best sound that I got out of this here flagship keyboard was from the enzyme and the polyphony skipping through it, and having that uniqueness to have that placed in electronic music and hip-hop music, to where it's never really been heard like that. But I had one of my projects, and I'm going to go over this in content. I have, the stuff for the comparison, and I actually I recorded one of my beats into the DAW, and I didn't realize this until afterwards. And the polyphony skipped, and usually it's awesome, and it just kind of stomps on one of the other waves or whatever for the synthesizer. But what this did was it did what it did before, and it knocked out one of the drums right on the downbeat. And I'm like, well, shit, I'm glad I stemmed that out, but now I can't use that whole wave that I had recorded in there because, yeah, the polyphony skipped to the point, and that's a post update too. So. My bad. I don't mean to be devoid of music in this Phantom Friday episode, saying farewell to this Phantom for the last time. It's just I want to get through some of the things that I haven't discussed. I know a lot of the things that I have discussed on here you guys have heard from me, you know, time and time again ad nauseum, you know, in some cases. But there's also a lot of things that I really didn't mention before that I would like to, and just kind of give anybody the opportunity to where, you know, if you guys have any questions or anything like that, feel free, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. But for the most part, it's like, did this flagship change anything in my production? And it didn't. Did it change? Did I get a return on the investment? No. I mean, I guess, you know, if you want to get technical about it. But as far as like the time that I've put into it and what's come out of it, yeah, you know, there's fierce competition out there. And for Roland to just poke its chest out and be like, hey, we got this awesome hardware, you know, it's kind of, you know, it works pretty great going through everything. But when you slip on the basics and you don't have a sound that competes, and then you're trying to make a workstation that's lacking the sound quality and drums that are supposed to be like your thing, you know, and the reason why people get Rolands and drum machines and stuff like that, you know, it's like, you know, the boss and everything, you know, and that's, you know, but it's par for the course for new school technology, I guess, you know, and it's just up to us to, you know, make a stinker or move on or do both, you know, and it's like, I don't want to have a bad relationship with my equipment, but that's not the reason either for getting rid of this. You know, I thought that I would be able to make it to where this would be my instrument, and while I'm at it, learn the keys a little bit better. But there's just so much that I can't do in here that I could do elsewhere, that if that's the case, why have it all put into one workstation? You know what I mean? If you got to put an MPC on top of it, you know, what's the point? You know, so you know, I don't mean to complain about this stuff, and you know, I guess rightfully so. I've earned my right to get my bitch on or whatever, but I'm not. You know, I'm just here to inform and let you guys know the reasons why this flagship from Roland is inadequate, and the problem with them, you know, re-releasing the hardware. You know, and they devalued it. You know, I could have got, you know, an extra, you know, $1,000 out of this thing, reselling it, you know, had Roland not re-release the EX, you know, but I don't care. I'm not trying to turn a profit like that. You know, I do need to get an MPC, in here. But what I would really like to do in replace of this would be the Osmos, because I want to apply the Osmos to hip-hop. But now this thing has been devalued to the point to where I can't even do a straight trade. I'll be lucky to get the cost of an Osmos, and if you take out the cost of shipping, which is the reason why I want to sell it locally, so if you're in the Seattle region, or more importantly, more closer, it would be the Portland area. Get at me if you want a Phantom at a dirt cheap price, because I'm not looking to really make a quick buck. I just want it to go to the right person. I want it to retain the EX upgrade. Now, the thing about this here is that I don't know that if you do an update in the future, if they're going to turn around and, wipe the EX upgrade or whatever. I don't know. There's been rumors going around that once you wipe it and take it back to factory settings, it'll wipe your EX. But that's not the case here because we have it. Because it's wiped, and here's the ACB. Yeah, and that's the thing. Roland had to make a workstation at the tail end of workstations being a thing, because there is such thing as the death of the workstation, and really they've fallen by the wayside to where it's really Roland here. You know, because you look at the montage. I mean, these workstations do workstation-ish things, and you could do certain things with them, but not like this, you know. But, you know, every piece of gear has its flaws, you know, some less than others, some more than others. But when you have a certain reputation to uphold as a legacy company and people know your product to be a certain way, and then you eliminate some of those key features in your next one, you can't come back and be like, oh, well, you're just complaining, or you're just bitching, or you just want too much, or you're just asking for too much. It's like, well, you know, you pay the cost, you want to be the boss, you know, and you want to do the best with it. My hope for this was being able to stay in here, do whatever in here, export my project, take it to the studio, and just put the beat over me doing whatever in it. Well, that lasted about as long as I put on YouTube. So, you know, and it took a while to be able to translate. And that's another thing here, to have the hardware translate into how it's going to sound coming out, especially with YouTube compression, learning about all that stuff, getting on YouTube. It's like, forget about it. I want a Genos 2. I want a Genos 3. I'm saying I want a Genos 2 as well. Not I want a Genos 3. No such thing exists. But god damn. What is that, like 6.5 G's? But the sound quality, geez, the sonics are unmatched. And what does that have? Because the first Genos had 52 gigs of RAM? It was insane. But yeah, with them devaluing this, I'm not going to get an Osmos in replace of this. So the Osmos is going to have to wait until I'm cool enough to get one, or I earn enough money to get one, you know, one or the other. So, but I made a promise to an old friend, and yeah. And the rest of it's going to be going to, album proclivities such as studio time, t-shirts made, all that other stuff. Like I said, I'm not really trying to turn profit. I'm just saying goodbye to something that I'm not using anymore. I got all the sounds that I wanted off of this. I made custom sounds and doing everything that I did on it. And I could have taken it out and I could have done more with it. I was going to take it outside and doing the street performing thing, but I think I would rather do that with the MPC Key 37. But who knows if that's going to come in here or not. I think that's where I want to go with it. But I definitely want to apply the sound of the Osmos and the expressiveness to hip-hop music. And I think that is the next step for me here as far as gear goes. I'm grateful for this Mini Freak, and the more that I use it, the more I love it. And it's things like this that really put this Fantom to shame, because the fun factor in comparison, for this, what, 6,000, this $600 small synthesizer here, like I said, I just went to town here and just started making beats and just went through and stumbled along the way, trying to figure out how to get the sound up there and how to get it right. And the answer was a really nice interface and an analog mixer, and some EA ski drums. We're good to go. But yeah, already finished with the majority of the production for the Hip Hop Undead album, and already got stuff for other things going on. Did you use it much as a DAW controller? Yes, I did. I had a time last year to where that's all I was using it for. I was pissed off actually that I was using it primarily as a MIDI controller for the channel aftertouch that's in here. Worked better than my MIDI keyboard because I had just like a 49 key or something like that, but nothing like what I have with the Arturia now. It was just a little Nectar cheap piece of crap, but it was just way too plastic and didn't have any aftertouch. And I started digging into the Cherry Audio synthesizers. And once I started hooking up the MIDI with that and doing that, yeah, I started using that, and I started making beats within the DAW and not using this for anything but a controller. Now, one of the reasons for my shift over to the Arturia Keylab was the fact that this does not work as a MIDI controller in the M3 iMac. And I thought it would, because after I did the video, when I first got the M3, because the iMac sees the Fantom, but the Fantom doesn't register to the iMac. It won't talk to it for some reason. And that reason was the firmware update, and I was like, okay, cool. Roland has the firmware update for it, and then they have a previous one, so they obviously keep working on this as the time goes by. However, I plugged in that firmware update, and that firmware update is just as convoluted as the update procedure on here, and it didn't take. And then the instructions on it, that maybe you have to do it a couple times, do this, that, the other, all these tricks to do it. And I tried it a couple times and it still didn't work. And I was like, oh, the hell with it, and I was already done with this anyway, because, having it back, I didn't want it back as a workstation. I wanted it back for the synthesizer that it really is, because this was really designed for sound design synthesis. That was really the intention here with everything. That's why they hesitated to even call it a workstation. And now they call it a synthesizer workstation, which I guess is better, but, it doesn't really matter, So the LEDs on the favor rotas change based on the VST parameters within the DAW. No, they didn't. But I didn't use Roland. I didn't integrate either. That was the thing about it. I was kind of excited to have, that was one of the things about having this back. I was excited to have it back. I didn't have it here for 9 months. The person I gave it to, it was just sitting in storage that whole time. But I gave it away, I was already moved on from then. But having it back, I was like, okay, when stuff comes back to you, kind of, take notice of it or whatever. So I was like, all right, so I'll use it for the synthesizer that it is. I'll get the EX upgrade, which was awesome. I was like, all right, cool, but then half of the EX upgrade was the enzyme that already existed. So that was a huge disappointment. And then I was like, okay, well, I could integrate with Logic, because that was the thing. Like when I got the Fantom, I wasn't using Mac, because I've been off of Mac for a few years. So there was no integrating with anything, because it only integrated into Logic and MainStage before they added the Ableton integration. So then I was like, okay, cool. Now that I got a new Mac, I should be able to integrate. And then I could see what the Logic integration is like. Nope. I tried, you know. I mean, I love it for what it is and what it could do, but it can't do what I need to get done and the way that I need to get it done. And for the reasons of having this, it doesn't do what I want it to do. Yes, I could go around and, you know, put together a whole composition in a couple hours and, you know, call it a day, you know, and come up with creative stuff or whatever. But I could do that anywhere with anything. So, you know, that doesn't really entice me. This feature, you know, with the cool additions of everything, you know, it's cool. I like it, you know, and it's quick, but it's not everything. And, you know, there's different ways to layer. And when it comes to synthesis, I'm more into knobby twisty over here. And there's only one oscillator. You know, the cutoff, you know, and the resonance, you know, and so cool, you know, there's stuff to affect changes and everything like that, but, you know, it has its pros, you know, and I never really use this, you know, this just gets between let's get the 4. So I got the 4 zones, so like, I mean, as far as saving things and doing stuff and recording the dictation and everything like that, there's none of that. You know, it's mostly for live. It's the thing that replaced the beam, I believe. Clip 2. Oh, there we go. Let me get over here. Let's see. Ski jump toes. Clip 2. What is good? Am I a Reaper or Ableton dude? Reaper all the way, sir. I shouldn't say. I keep saying sir as in like the royal sir. I need to stop doing that because I just assume that everybody in this male-dominated field, and I got caught up on that when I said man to somebody who's like, I'm not a man. I was like, I was just saying the royal man. Withdrawn. But Reaper, you know, and Ableton guys, crucify me all you want. I just never was a fan of it, you know. I just never got into it. A lot of my friends were into it, and especially my live sound buddies. Let's go through some of these others. The biggest fix. So the question here is, what would be the biggest fix Roland could make it better in your opinion? It's kind of a loaded question. I would say if they completely stabilize the polyphony, that would be just about everything. Or time stretch. Either one of those. I mean, the polyphony is the most important because the way that it affects everything in your projects, and that covers across the board. So no matter what type of music you're doing, if you're doing any composition at all, you want that to be your number one. So even if I didn't want that to be a number one, I would want that to be number one for the team. You know what I mean? Like, people need that more than anything. But I would also take the time stretching in the sampler. That would be an all in all, you know, to make it a normal sampler. Like I was showing my mom the other day, taking it across the board, and I was like, see, I can't play it across the board because the time stretching isn't there. I was really hoping for it with the EX upgrade. I was like, oh, maybe they snuck in the time stretching, because every time there's an update from Roland, they always get a handful of people that are like, is time stretching in there? You know, it's been the big ask since 2019, and it's sad that they fixed all this stuff. They did multi-sampling. They did all this fix to the sampler that expanded it, but just didn't include the one thing that they know how to include because it was in the previous samplers, and they make other samplers, you know, the previous Fantoms or whatever. But yeah, That's great to hear. Both are great DAWs. Like Logic a lot. Yeah, nothing really beats Logic. I was a Logic person before I stepped out of the Apple game and stepped out of the Apple game for a while. But yeah, I was so upset over my motherboard being fried out and losing my contacts in my movie and becoming homeless over it. I mean, it was a multitude of factors converging that caused the homelessness. But I would have had a nice little nest egg or a job to work, had it not been for losing all that, and that was with the change. So I was just out of spite, was like, oh, no more Apple for anything. But then, god damn, Windows is just so screwed up, especially after making the shift to Windows 11. It's just so damn bad. Like my mom just got a brand new laptop, totally balls out, everything. And my brother builds computers. He's like gaming guy, you know what I mean? Like really into it. So he decked out her computer, got rid of all the crap, whatever. So she brings it over here and I'm putting software on it, you know what I mean? Hooking her up with Cherry Audio stuff, because she's just getting into the digital game and stuff. She got this mini freak. Actually, she's the reason why I got this mini freak over here, because she got gas over the Stellar and ended up, I want the black keys. Will you take this other one? I'm like, sure. So I helped her with the installation, and I didn't even get into the weeds of installing it, and it crashed on me, and I had to restart it like right away, and it was just like a brand new, fresh. And that was kind of like the experience that we had with our $2,000 computer that we just had issues with all that time. It's just like, we're just all prisoners here of a mess. Yeah. So while the Phantom looks nice and it does a lot of cool shit, and it's really, it's got some cool presets. That's what I'm going in here right now. I'm going through these presets because I haven't really explored any of these. Like I never did an all presets, no talking. I only did that for the EX and the Enzyme when it came out a couple years ago. See what's in the parameters over here. We have a sound effect. We got pulsating bamboo, Aurora synth pad, sweep pad, echoes of the JDXA. Kind of. Yeah, my mom is like old school synth. Like her favorite band was Yes, so Rick Wakeman, yeah. Keith Emerson style, That's kind of how I grew up. I grew up on, on Moog. I think I was born right around the time of Owner of the Lonely Heart, so that was all up in the sound system, when I was a youngin'. So like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that, and it's just. I mean, she would love it if I were over here, like, getting my James Dyson on. Wakeman lives a few miles from me. Is that right? That's so cool. Yeah, I want those days to return. I want the days of... a mini Moog, like a Model D or something like that, like in a sold out stadium, you know what I mean? Like, the big synthesizers and the big state. I wanted to come back to that, you know. But, you know, it doesn't have to come back to it, but just, you know, these things are sought after and people like them. A lot of people are making really good music. We just need to respect music, mostly in our country. Here in the States, it's just so bad the way musicians are treated just by the general public, you know. Even other, it's not just other musicians, you know, and the competition and everything like that, and the gatekeeping and the industry and all that other bullshit. It's just the general perspective of average people. We're like the least represented group in the United States. Yeah, so I always grew up with big sound systems in the house. You know, my dad may have been a sports nut as far as like a super fan goes, but like, you know, there's nothing to tear him away from his records, and his records were, you know, pretty abstract. You know, I grew up listening to Yes and War and Jethro Tull and you know, Genesis. So that's one of the reasons why I took such a liking to synthesis, which I was already into before this. This was my first real synthesizer like ownership, you know. So I wanted something. It was nice to have something that like does the thing that I was hoping to do production wise, you know. And even though I'm digging more into actual synthesis, you know, there's still an element of me, you know. I'm still a rapper, you know what I mean, making hip hop music. So like I'm kind of on both sides here, you know, not any kind of struggle or whatever, you know. It's a great mix, you know, having both of the elements, you know. It really creates a really unique style. But you know, even though the musician blood, you know, runs in my line for, you know, generations and generations, the synthesis straight up came from my parents, both mother and father. If my dad were alive today, he would love the shit that I'm doing now. He would shit his pants knowing that I got, you know, so close to his friend from Dream Theater. You know, that was one of his favorite bands too. I got him into Ween. You know, I was thinking about that, like what that would sound like. I kind of do want to do that. It's hard to, and the thing is that gangster rap kind of did that a little bit, you know. I mean, they did it with more funk and soul and stuff like that, but all those synthesizers, that era, you know, really came back in the 90s, you know, because Dr. Dre, that whole G-Funk thing, you know, it's like, God, you know, sampling some of those records. Parliament Funkadelic, and man, and that's the stuff I grew up on, you know, and maybe that's it, you know, growing up with the heavy stadium style synthesis, and then kind of, you know, spending my teenage years in the gangster rap era, you know, and loving the shit out of that music and getting into hip hop even before then, you know. Yeah, I definitely want to take the osmos to hip hop music. I want to hear what the osmos sounds like in hip hop. You know, and like I said, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get one by dumping off the Fantom, but I have other obligations to get taken care of for this. It's not that I need to get rid of this. It's just that, I need to give it to somebody who's going to use it more than myself. And I'm not using it for anything right now. And I'm not going to be using it for anything for a while. And, ever, really. I got better drums and made custom patches and have my kits and my digital synthesizers, my mini freak over here. I'm good. Yeah, I love that. I love that fusion. Gangstar. Yeah, shout out. I'm definitely gonna miss this, like having this in one shot, but am I really? I guess it's better this time because I'm not like leaving it behind out of some pissiness or anything like that. Like I'm not. I parted ways with the Fantom like under some sort of contentious nonsense before. Now I'm kind of just like, well, I kind of wanted it for something that I thought that it was with the EX upgrade, and the EX upgrade isn't really much of an upgrade at all. Yes, it's a few patches and it's good. It's good sounding, and the ACB, great, but it's very limited, and 2 years is old for a synthesizer to go unchanged, What is good is good is good. Yeah, I got the Keylab 49, and one of the main reasons why I got that is because I can't get this to integrate with the iMac. No matter how many times I try the firmware update and going through that madness, it just did not take. And the pads part, sample-based production. I'm making a hip-hop album. Can't make a hip-hop album, sample-based production, using...
'Cause it's Friday.
I could do it. I could finagle it to be able to perform, to do certain things, but I can't get my, finger drumming on for sampling, and that's what I really wanted to do. And I was hoping for the best with these pads, but even looking at the pictures and seeing the demo, I was like, those are the old SP404 pads. I thought they were the 505 pads at first from a distance. I'm like, okay, those are the 404A pads, very specific. I think 2017 is when those pads came out. Yeah. Yeah, if your hardware that you get is just going to require you to go back into the box and doll it up and fix it up inside of there, it's like, well, if it ain't broke, you got nothing to fix. And the sounds in here, while they're good and while they're, legacy sounds, as far as these synths go, it's not new. It's not new, and it's not abstract enough to call it something like, I'll bring up the chroma again, I mean, there's stuff in here that you're like, okay, cool, but like you could go get a Jupiter, maybe not an older one, but you could get a new version of the Jupiter, or you could get a new version of the Juno, you could do all this. You could have these sounds, and if you can't get them from Roland directly, everybody's got an emulation of it, Not to say that anybody's going to come out, because, the Arturia has an Arturia sound, the Cherry Audio has a Cherry Audio sound. They all have their signature sounds to it, and I'll give them that. But when you're in competition with Pigments or Phase Plant or Falcon, you got these massive libraries, You know, shit, even UVI did that one recently, and it had patches from the Colossus. Nobody has a Colossus. As a matter of fact, they even said that Colossus that they have at UVI is the only one that was ever built because nobody ever got one. It's like, really? That is crazy. So stuff that is that unique, you know, and that's what people want. People want the unique, the abstract, the awesome sound, and we got some of it coming out of the Enzyme, and we all appreciate these old analog synths. You know, they're great, but digitizing old analog synths isn't the answer. The answer is making something revolutionary, you know, something new. And they did it with the Enzyme, you know, but they just left it there with those limited patches, and it's like, what is a Colossus? Yo, look it up on Sweetwater. Just type in Colossus on Sweetwater. Yeah, you got a special order of those. They build them upon. Got a DeepMind 12 and always, so it's so fun. And importantly, it's cheap, so I'm not careful like with other gear. Yeah, there's something to be said about what Behringer is doing, and I've heard a lot of great things about the DeepMind. You know, and that, geez, the DeepMind is what, less than a grand? Like, God, like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Cost is a factor when you consider these things, you know, but when you pay the cost and you still have to do other things, you know, it's not a bad thing to need to do other things. But when all the work of the sonics and everything sounds is all left up to you, and you're just left with a limited representation of what's in like the Zencore library or something like that. At first it was like, okay, well, we got the Rolling Cloud at the same time as here. I was like, okay, so you integrate those and combine them both together. Cool. I'm on board. I'm down with that. But it doesn't integrate with that. It doesn't integrate with iCloud like that. So already, you know, you're on shaky territory that you could integrate with other keyboards that aren't flagship, and you do, you know, you can't do it with here, you know. But fine, I'll take that. You know, but all this time, you're talking 5 years almost. In September, it will be 5 years exactly since this was created. And as far as I'm aware of, it still doesn't link up to the dongle. They're just like, oh, we got this EX, so it's cool. Yeah, whatever. So, well. Don't look it up on the hub, though. Oh, really? East West made a VST Cake Colossus. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the VST, and I know there's only a few of them as far as the sounds that they put into the UVI instrument. You know, no problem with that. I haven't tried it. I got the Chroma instead. My choices were between the two, and I've been wanting to hear sounds from the Colossus, and especially after watching Dr. Mix be at the UVI headquarters in Paris, I was like, oh man, watching him actually play that and listening to them describe all the other synths that they put in that library. That Chroma though. James Dyson got me sold on that Chroma. It was his fault. So yeah, sorry there hasn't been that much music in here, or any music for that matter. I didn't mean to just blab this whole time, but yeah. It's old Dunsky over here with the Phantom Friday. Now I am going to be putting out little scenes here and there. I was just going to parcel those out as Phantom Friday episodes and go through this whole large production with that and everything. But I don't really have time for that. Like I said, I'm prioritizing the album, and you know, I had to tear myself away from that to do this. And the only reason why I did it actually is because I said that I was going to. I said that we were going to go live today, you know, and I don't like saying shit and not doing it. You know what I mean? Even if I can't do it because something happens or something like that. You know, the only thing that happened is, technically speaking, you know, one doing it during the day is not going to happen, and then, you know, setting up the additional cameras and all that other stuff. Yeah, that's just it's not going to work for the content that I want to make for this. But I did want to show you guys and just talk to you guys, you know, because it's been a while, you know, other than doing the pigments thing yesterday. Just getting on live here and kind of giving one last discussion with this Fantom, you know, and I'll do the content just to kind of get people who are getting Fantoms, because more people are getting them nowadays, to navigate through this through the sequencer and, you know, all that other stuff. So it's not that bad. I don't mind it at all. Actually, it's not bad at all. Hold my beer. Hold my beer. What's good, man? Yes. Yeah, I saw Alex Ball kick his Juno 106 key off of his thing on the Pro Synth Network earlier. How did you get on with Pigments? I joined while I was at work. Well, you just started the first patch and had to go. Did you like it? Approved? Yes, I do like it. I didn't get to dig into it as much as I wanted to. I love the fact that it completely integrates with the Keylab. Even with it being as old as it is, you know, I'm grateful for that. I need to figure out the mapping a little better because there's some patches that there's not control on some of the things that I would like to have control on. I didn't dig into the sequencer at all. I did do some sequenced patches, but I didn't dig into the sequencer. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't dig into. I was just kind of getting a feel for the sounds and played mostly pads because, you know, that's mostly all I could play for the most part. I look forward to including it into my synth library over here with everything. I definitely look forward to when the V collection goes down. Pigments took the FX collection down to 99 for me. So I'll probably get that, and hopefully that'll take down the V collection. I don't know, because I definitely want to get the V collection. There are a few synths in there that are unique to the Arturia ecosystem that I really want to try my hand at, especially that Flight of the Navigator shit. We were just talking about that today. Yeah, the integration. Yeah, have the keyboard as well, and it suffice. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I did get rid of the Fantom. So this is the thing. So I got rid of the Fantom. I was using it mostly as a MIDI controller, but I wasn't using it for what it needed for, and I gave it to somebody who ended up not using it and keeping it in storage. And they're like, hey, can you use this for anything? Maybe the EX upgrade? And I was like, yeah, let me try it out, I guess, if you're not going to use it. And it was like, yeah, it's just been sitting in storage the whole time. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, and there's going to be better stuff by the time I want to use something. I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever. Can use a TR sequencer for melodic parts like bass lines. I've not seen that mentioned anywhere. You can, but it cuts it in a lot of cases. Let's see. But let me show you. Let's go. Oh, these are all connected. Hold on. Let me go to an unused one. There we go. Sounds like a bass CD at a car show. All right. So there's a gate time in here. Or, what was the thing on here for the, for the, see, it goes lower. Okay, so, let's see. Here, let's see. It's 100%. So that's as far as it goes. But you could go to edit mode, take it to the piano roll, and then go to duration and do whatever, and then it'll show up on the TR like that. So like I said, a lot of the stuff here you could just affect change in like the same way, just using different things. So while you can't do that in there, you could do it in a different way or edit it if you want to do it real quick. But yeah, I get your point. It's not gonna do the thing that you would want it to do if you were trying to achieve that. Pigment says sampler is quite underrated. You should try dragging some waves into it. It's really fun. Does it? Does it now? Because I got to tell you, I'm learning about the integration just between this Mini Freak and the Mini Freak V, the plugin. And not only is that awesome, but yeah, you could put your own samples into Pigments, huh? Well, I guess I'm going to have to throw some converted Tussinn at it. So now I'm going to take the converted Tussinn. See, this is the beauty about this. The converted Tussinn is all the best of the best on here, but it's not just the best of the best on here. It's what I dialed in as my own custom sounds and then made my own custom sounds in addition to it. So having all those sounds on my sample pack, I just throw my sample pack into something like Cube and Pigments, stuff like that, and all of a sudden I have just a whole new world of synthesis and all kinds of sonic possibilities and fun adventures. So, pretty cool here as far as that goes. Welcome. Yeah, my voice getting deep at midnight. It ain't Friday no more on the West Coast. Well, I'm getting rid of it though. Yeah, it's weird how it kind of came back, and I had high hopes for it, but I didn't think that they fixed it. But the EX upgrade and all that other stuff. But having the EX, somebody being able to get this for cheap, and me being able to cover the spread on my t-shirts and my studio time, I still got what I need over here. I already got what I needed out of this as far as everything goes, as far as the sound, and yeah. So, yeah, pretty, here, let's just keep going here. I just want to try some of these presets that I never played before. I want to hear what they sound like. And I can't undo this real quick to show you guys, hey, this is what it sounds like without the analog mixer. I mean, I could, but I already did such demonstrations, and I have other stuff going on for that. Yeah, that's another reason why I reserved it till this late at night as well. Most of us Fantom owners, I mean, I'm not in the UK. I just stay up later. But there's not very many people in the States who have the Fantom, like professionals, like Nobody has a Phantom in the U.S. They just, that was one of the reasons for the EX upgrade. Even though, and I don't mean the EX upgrade, but I mean the EX upgrade on the hardware. Tapping more into the American market and the fact that reaching out to people that they weren't reaching out to before, because there's so many people in the States that don't have this. People that you would think do. I was like thinking about it, and I was like, oh God, I just like, okay, he's in the UK, he's in Germany, he's in the UK, he's in the UK, he's in South America, he's in South America, he's in, like, going down the list of everybody who has a Phantom, there's like, Bolo just got a new EX. Hold my beer. Thanks for the super chat. Yeah, we're coming along here. Like to welcome all the new subscribers as we normally do here. It gets kind of weird on this channel sometimes. Most of our friends here in the chat have been here for since the beginning. We were all friends before I started here on YouTube. I was already like talking or whatever beforehand. I was like, oh well, it was kind of like, oh, you have a YouTube channel? Well, I'm starting one. It's just me and the Phantom. I appreciate you. Ram said there's no one in the States who's a professional. Well, can't argue with you there. Present company included. And really, I've been an active professional and then stepped out and did, worked a day job, broke my back, became homeless. Now I'm getting back in. So I'm a used to be professional, going to be a professional with professional grade knowledge and tools, starting out on YouTube as an amateur. Yo, wait till I start throwing my music videos out here, y'all be hearing my raps and be like, what the fuck? This guy's got bars? Go look up my history, god damn it. My bars got bars. I ain't talking Roseanne either. He said accept you. That's a fucking emotion. That's just so funny. Oh God, I'm fucking cracking up. I should have gave this one earlier. Get the Tom face over here. You get the Tom face. Oh, shit. Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy. I mean, there's a lot of people that have been talked out of the Phantom, and a lot of people have waited and saw, like, I never get anything new. The iMac is the exception. That was, I think, 3 months after it was released. I never get anything the year it's released, unless it's something like, I really wanted the SP404 when it came out, so I ordered it. The MK2, and I got lost in the shuffle and didn't get one. I was like, well, that's what I get for ordering it before it gets there. But yeah, by the time the Osmos gets here, it'll be 2-3 years later. You know, it's like, yeah. The difference between Pigments and Analog Lab Pro. Well, Analog Lab Pro is, for one, it doesn't have all the features as far as how you can manipulate sound. It is more like an ecosystem. I don't know why I keep saying ecosystem. It's it's more like a sample of the ecosystem from the V collection, just less presets. And there's ways to manipulate and everything like that, but not the deep dive into synthesis like you can do with Pigments. Pigments you could do a lot more, and I don't believe you can upload sounds into Analog Lab Pro. I haven't looked at it enough to know one way or another, but it doesn't seem like you'd be able to do that, and you could do that with Pigments. And I didn't know that till just being told that now, so I'm just repeating something that somebody told me here. But they're in the chat now, so you're amongst friends. Sorry, I'm getting delirious. Par for the course. Hey, you know what? We're going out with a bang here. Pigments is a VST by itself. Oh, you can, huh? You can upload into Analog Pro. Yeah, and you could do that. Analog Pro. Yeah, it's like if I were to compare it, I would say it's kind of like the difference between like UVI between Falcon and the UVI Workstation. Analog Pro is like the Workstation. Falcon is like Pigments. So if that makes any sense. But I'm just okay. Pigments is fully edible. Synth Analog Pro is still just presets you could tweak. Okay, that's the better explanation, I guess. I'm not really the person to ask, considering that I'm just digging into this stuff for the first time within the past few weeks here. So, I mean, I'm familiar with all this stuff, but like really digging into it like this is just something that. I mean, all this time I haven't had Pigments. I just never have been able to get it, because of getting other stuff. We've gone through a lot on this channel, but even having UVI for that, I think it was a year, like, still wasn't able to dig into everything. Yeah. And now at Sweetwater, yeah, my mom just did this because I was like, yeah, it's quite the deal when I got Pigments, because you could get the Pigments is on sale for $99, Analog Lab is on sale for $99, but if you buy them together, it's on sale for $170. So, but only at Sweetwater. Unsponsored too. I'm not sponsored by any of these guys. It's just like I said yesterday, a deal's a deal. See, this is a good representation of what the Fantom could sound like. But again, this preset is 6 patches. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, and there's definitely not as many like oscillators and wavetables and Man, I knew immediately I saw. I was like, man, now I see what all the fuss is about. I was like, I knew it. I knew I'd see what all the fuss is about. It's kind of hard not to trust people like us that are all into this, especially when you play it and you listen to it. And that's the thing about it, and that's why these didn't sell in the States, because there weren't enough people and producers, having them, But there's a lot that have the older one. But, if you ask people, that have the older one why they didn't get a newer one, or, ask people familiar why they didn't get a newer one, and they'll tell you. There's nothing really new in the way of sound. Not only that, the sound that does exist, it sounds a little bit hollow, sound a bit thin. And that's the worst. That's the worst thing that you could hear as your sound being described as, is thin, you know? But when you got professionals that are saying that, but the problems here are universal. But look how quick I shift to scenes. I mean, how many other things? Here's some things here. No, don't need no ballroom. Yeah, so those are the older ones. I'll take these ones. Oh, I like that. I've neither have the space, money, or brains for V collection. Yeah, after the sale for the Mini Brute V went back up, when that sale went away, then my price went back up to $4.99, which is the sale price because it's $5.99 regularly. So I'm just wondering what's gonna take that down, because I was pretty surprised that Pigments took the FX collection down by $150. That's quite the difference. Yeah, I really enjoy Reaper. It's a nice clean DAW. And I was just getting into it, and then it was like, oh, I got this new Max, so now I'm back into Logic. I'm like, hell yeah. Never look back. But I am going to look back, actually, because there's a few projects that I need to work my way in for this album, so I'll be back into it in no time. Yeah. I wonder where the new ones are at, because there's a whole stack of new ones that they put. I would assume it'd be towards the end. Right here. Yeah. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine with the issues that this has. I couldn't imagine going to something that doesn't have the engine. It doesn't have the what is it, the Zen core? It doesn't have the engine that powers the enzyme, so there's no enzyme in it. And with the polyphony issues, yeah, it can't house a lot of the stuff, especially now with the EX difference, because you can't get that in the O series. Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I saw somebody playing it just the other day, actually, and I was just like, huh. I wonder how, because, I mean, if this has limitations, like, I just couldn't imagine. Yeah, that Reaper trial's extensive. Hey, but that myth trial's extensive too. I still got like 30 days or something left on mine. I need to go ahead and post that. I already uploaded a couple of myth videos I need to post. I'm trying to post my content in between those because I don't want a bunch of, no talking explorations all in a row. Sounds cool. Year 83 on my Reaper trial, yeah. That was a fun little preset. Why not? Yeah, it definitely makes all the difference plugging this into an analog mixer. It gives it the sound that it needs to have. And that's the thing about this. If this costs so much, and the analog mixer costs so little, and it's just that little bit, the same with like something like an analog heat box or something like that. If these little items that are inexpensive can do so much, why can't you just put some shit in here to make it equivalent, you know? I mean, I get it. It has a flat frequency interface when it comes down to it, so it's not that big of a deal, but the sound quality is, though. I mean, that is a big deal. These are all just labeled ARP delays. Go to the other one, because this one has a modular split. Meh. Funny because I could identify which patches were being used to make these. Yeah, this split. think Fireflies or something. That one. Okay, so be this one. That one. It's one of my favorites. I used Studio One for a while. I have a lot of content, probably about a year's worth that I used Studio One. I like Studio One. It's like the Windows equivalent to Logic Pro. I like it a lot. I stopped using it because I was on the subscription, and the subscription changed, and as it changed, it didn't jive well with Windows and their crappy little update. And then they also changed the price on it, and it was a problem that was exclusively messed up with the update to Studio One Plus. Because I had a few friends verify for me because they had the full version of Studio One that was the non-subscription and similar specs than what I was dealing with. And it was something that was, it knocked out a bunch of my plugins and would crash on me. So, I mean, a lot of it was Windows' fault, but at the same time, it didn't have that issue until Studio One changed the thing up. They just didn't patch in the correction to accommodate for Microsoft's fuckery. So I just said fuck it and, got rid of my whole thing because, screw subscriptions. Split. It's crazy. All right. Yeah, it's kind of a cool one. Yeah, they call them tube compressors here. I think I've heard the reference to valve compression before. But yeah, I've never heard of that. Recently, anyway. I like this one over here. Interesting. I like that. Linux is cool. There's just not enough compatibility. It's been a lot better with compatibility lately. Like I noticed that Cherry Audio's got some compatibility, and Reaper too, out of all things. I definitely do not. Yeah, Windows 11 is trash. Have I ever considered any stage keyboard for their immediacy? No, because I'm not really a player like that. I'm a producer, so like, even though I play, for fun or whatever, and I do, know my way around a keyboard to like put things together. A motif, maybe. I've had to use on the fly in the studio, and a Triton, but I would just point my friend. Hey, do this thing real quick. I need a beat or I need this. You know. Ooh. These splits are like really good on this side, but not very good on this side. Okay, give me some. Give me some. Go. Go fuck yourself. Oh! Weird. Robo is gone. Interesting. Yeah, I'm good now. I got an iMac. I got all the stability I need. That was my solution. It's a cool little thing. That's pretty. I tell you, as nice as like this looks and feels and everything like that, I mean, all in all, I am gonna miss having this around. But, you know, not really though. You know, I mean, I'm really attached to equipment like that. This is the longest I've actually owned like a piece of equipment. Like it's like it's worn out its welcome and like left, and then I'm like, okay, having it back means everything. Whoa. I think these are the new ones that came with the with the EX, because I put those up too. Woo. Lower. Anybody got some subs going? Split by 3. Piano. This is listed as reggae dub. Okay, so that I get it. But. drum though. That shit was cool. I want all that in there. That's cool shit. Yeah, it's got its moments for sure, and it's a lot. It's a lot to go through here, and yeah, but it's just this here is like I don't know. Be no more valves. It's like the tubes down the tubes. What are these tubes? What are these tubes everybody's talking about? Everybody's saying it's going down the tubes. I didn't know that was an American thing. I don't know why that tickles me so much, but that's funny as hell. I like that. Alright, so ECB. Guess the 800 is where I want. There we go. Get this aftertouch pin going. Oh, I gotta turn it on. Don't forget, turn it on. That was one of the best features of the EX is the JD800 and the aftertouch bend. So what's with the pads? What can you do with them?
'Cause it's Friday.
I was sampling stuff to the pads earlier, just to kind of show everybody what the thing was. But yeah, so they already come full, like with their stuff, like little drum stuff.
I know you.
Oh, look at it.
I know you don't smoke weed.
It did keep my other one, so I could edit this.
I know you don't smoke weed. I know this. I know you.
It used to get rid of it, so that's cool that it keeps it now.
I know you don't smoke weed. I know you don't smoke weed. I know you don't. I know you don't. I know you don't smoke weed.
So you could do that, but already just from triggering the 4 times, I could feel it in my finger, like pressing my knuckle against. Basically, you load them up. You load them up with samples. But if you were one of those people who needed to export your projects, the way to export them is to save them to your pads. Because you only have a limited amount of sample time once you save to your keyboard and everything like that. But you could save an entire project, no matter how long, you know, how many minutes it is or whatever, save it to the pads. Because that's like the step that you go to. So, and you only have 4 banks, you know, so you got the 4 banks. But once you start doing multiple projects, you start filling up those banks real quick. Like before I started on YouTube, I already had the back two banks and the second one almost completely full. But yeah, you just use them. Sample trigger pads is what they are. They're not performance pads. It's a goddamn shame if you ask me. Yeah, it does have some really good synth sounds. I'll give it that, you know. I mean, the JD800 ain't no joke. Especially when you start messing with the aftertouch. The JX8P is my favorite. Next to the Enzyme, which is a game changer. And the Jupiter 8 and Juno 106, I mean, they're good. Don't get me wrong, you know, and especially, you know, with Roland, and they have their shiny moments. And doing the ACB actually puts it at a different level of, let's see if it do it without the hissing of the J3. So it's cool to have the little graphic, you know, with the ACB, you know, it comes up. But it's also cool because it shows it when you use the filters. So it's this filter over here. It's crazy they're able to get it that small to be able to touch it with your finger, but... So, I mean, you can't fart. There it goes. You can't fault the developers for what the marketers are doing, and that's pretty much what's happening here. You know, whatever reason, scheduling, whatever thing they got going on, you know, they could do a lot better. You know, but everybody could do a lot better. It's just when it comes to specific sounds that I'm looking for and things that I have and what I don't, you know, it's one of those things, you know, if you have more than enough to cover everything, you know, what do you need other than the stuff that you need for what you need it for, you know, and to build all your own is fine, and that's what you do with these things. But, you know, we want the sounds. We want the sounds and we want the sound quality. You know, we could work our way through workflow when it comes to all the stuff. You know, people don't like the workflow on here. I'm fine with it. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, it's just, I mean, there's things that are kind of weird when you get into song building, but it's not that bad. Production in Poland, too. Somewhere still supplying them. Yeah. Try Steve Gibson 2 for Windows. Lifesaver. Yeah. Alright, see what we got here. Yep, kind of figure that much. Alright. Yeah, God, we've been in 3 hours here. Jesus, right. Alright. Is the chord mode any use? I haven't used it. I did a couple times at first, and I was just like, meh. I haven't used it. The same way that I haven't used the pad over here, as far as that goes. You know, the filters here, yeah, you know, and stuff, you know, it's cool. There's a lot of stuff to go through, and there's a lot of stuff that they keep adding to it, and I don't fault them for it. You know, it's all good. You know, we're all good here. It's just, you know, it's like I said, I don't use this enough to move on, to not move on from it. You know, it's just one of those things, like, I like it, you know, but do I love it? No. You know, and for the price that it was compared to what it is now, no. I don't like the janky marketing, you know, and the crap that they're doing as far as that goes. So, that's kind of bothersome. But it's not really because, we're kind of used to these companies doing this kind of crap. We're kind of, you know, we let them get away with a lot because we're kind of used to, them acting this way. But I mean, shit, they really stuck it to the flagship customers, and in search of new customers, they're trying to get a new customer base, and it's like, what, the old one's not good enough? Like, what's wrong with us? Start feeling a little insecure here. But no, it's not anything that I feel any kind of way about or whatever. It's just, the priority, has always been the music. And even though this has some good sounds in it, as far as making music goes, it's okay. There's a lot better out there, and there's a lot of things that do a lot better, and, if you're going to take out the sonics, then to the point to where you have to use the DAW to clean it up, then, it's like EA Ski said, why don't you just go in the DAW to begin with and get you a MIDI controller and call it a day? And that's one of the reasons why we get, as producers, we get this equipment. Everything fits together. This piece goes with that one to make it sound like that. But if you add those pieces to this piece over here, then it really makes it sound something special. And search for those sonics and that advantage. We constantly look for that in our music and with our tools to get the best advantage out of it. And that's kind of the purpose of the workstation, but it's coming a time to where, the workstation is falling by the wayside, and people don't want workstations anymore. And if they do want workstations, they want workstations to actually work, not to where you're going to have to go into the DAW and clean shit up. I don't mind doing the extra work. I'll take it all day if you need to, But, you should be able to get inspired right away. And that's the good thing about the Fantom. It does have a lot of inspirational sounds as far as synthesizers go. But yeah, that's why they've settled on the synthesizer versus workstation argument to where it's a synthesizer workstation, they've decided. And then they're like, here's the EX. Cool. Yeah, I don't mind. It's all good. Is there any reliance on Rolling Cloud? Absolutely not. Rolling Cloud, they wanted all the flagship owners. They're like, here, we'll give you Rolling Cloud for free for a year. And I went for it, and then they still didn't have it to where it was integratable, and I was like, okay, well, I'll start using it now. And then I paid for it, and then I just never used it. And then I was like, well, this is kind of a waste. And then when I was trying to use the digitals, the soft synths, the VSTs, I couldn't resize them. There was just all sorts of mess that I, didn't want to deal with or whatever. And it was just like, get rid of it. Are you going to sell this synth? I guess technically, yes, I'm going to sell it. But I'm selling it for bottom dollar, technically. Well, not bottom dollar, but bottom dollar-ish. But I need to get it to somebody locally, somebody in the Pacific Northwest, in the Portland area or Seattle region, just depending, just because I don't want to deal with the mess of shipping it. And, just the pain that it was to even get the wrapping set up for the MPC 3000, and even like doing something like this and the way that these shipping companies have been moving, man, if you guys would know Destructo's story, oh God, that Rhodes. Jeez. It's good. It's all good. Everything's all good. It's just heart stopper, And it's been like that with gear lately. I don't want to already take the loss on the value of this, to spend most of that in shipping, to have it come to whoever messed up, so I'm going to get it to somebody close, and there's enough people out here interested that I'll probably find somebody, but I'm not in a hurry or anything like that. I'm not trying to get it off or anything like that, so yeah, sound expansions are tied to Roland Clout. Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I heard too. And 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 word on the street is that when you sell this, you're not going to be able to update it, because when you update it, it'll wipe the EX if you haven't paid for it already. But I don't know how many updates they're going to end up doing to this. It was even on their 50th anniversary, Roland did not update their flagship keyboard. They tucked it away, and all this EX upgrade came after it. So, yeah. I don't know. I just know that after resetting it down to factory settings, everything works. The EX upgrade is here. But yeah, no more Fantom Friday. It was a cool little run. This is technically would be the 45th episode. We didn't do them every Friday. We did pull an album out of it. And instead of doing a Fantom Friday Volume 2, I've extracted the projects that I want out of that to use it for the for the Hip Hop and Dead album. And I am finishing the edit on the song for the music video that will come out at the same time, and that will be coming up shortly here. And let's see, what are we coming into the weekend here? Obligation in the morning. I'm going to join in on that Zoom meeting. So, yeah. That'll be good. And I don't know. I don't like to say how things are going to go, because if things get messed up and I can't go, then I'm saying that I'm going to do something that I'm not going to do. And that's one of the reasons why we went live, because even though it didn't work out at the time that we wanted to, I wanted to make sure that we at least did this tonight, and yeah, I'm not trying to be dramatic about it or anything like that, but yeah, it's just taking up space, not doing anything over here, and there's nothing really personal against it, professionally, there are some things against it, but I don't have the bad feelings that I did before about it, Before I was upset about it, kind of, but I got over it real quick by getting rid of it. And then it coming back, I was like, oh, well, I could never get rid of this now. But I didn't know that the EX upgrade would be, half of a bust, and then trying to resell the enzyme, and then still dealing with polyphony issues, even though they're more specific now to just a few of the patches on the enzyme. So, yeah, some complaints they did changes in the recent hardware. Could do integration, especially the EX series and groove stations. Yeah, people say it's the death of the workstation, and like I said, the Roland Fantom is a workstation of its own, and there's not really any competition. That's why they were so bold to pull out the marketing on the Fantom EX, because their competition right now, even though the polyphony is fine elsewhere, as far as sequencing and putting together projects, it's still about putting everything together. And the priority on this is the synthesizer and the customizing your own tones and stuff like that by using this whole feature of layering, other than that, if they beefed it up and put in what Roland has in their ecosystem. Kind of like, look at it this way. If Arturia's Astrolab, being the price that it is, carries everything, yes, it's not a workstation, but it also is the price that it is. This is like almost twice the amount. So, why can't you have more synthesizers that Roland has to offer in their ecosystem? And I've asked these questions throughout the years, and no answer, and it's fine. It's not really a big deal. I think it's just a matter of being behind. I think it was just a matter of being behind schedule, and being behind schedule, once you're behind on one thing and it sets back everything else, you got to constantly play catch up, and then before you know it, you're re-releasing the same hardware just to avoid people going through the update process, so you could have them in the stores as the EX, so people could say, hey, this EX is actually pretty cool. What else are you going to do? Have your flagship in the store for another 5 years and be like, oh, we got this EX that you could upgrade to, but you have to take it home first and then go upgrade it, and then it'll sound the way that you maybe want it after that. If you're going to try it, you're going to try it, but most of us do it without it, and buy things without trying it, and it's completely fine. There's no problem with it. You may get a Roland Fantom EX Plus Alpha Champions Edition in the future. For sure. What synth will you release with this? If it was me, I like Moog. Probably release this with Moog Bad Boy. Yeah, Moog's great. I've been really digging into the Arturia ecosystem by accident, and it's been nice. So that's cool. So yeah. All right, I'm gonna get off of here. It's been 3 hours, so yeah. So that's it for this little series here, Fantom Friday. We started off doing the long form production building, and then we went to the short form, but it wasn't mastered, and then did the album, mastered everything, put the album out, and then got the Fantom back and started making others. But yeah, it's just I got actual music to make. I don't have time to do these events on YouTube, but I do have time to do stuff like this, but it's just the time that it would take to go through all this. I have to choose, I have to choose between YouTubing synth stuff and doing the album. The album's always going to win over, especially because now being a priority, as far as deadlines go, it's only, I'm looking to wrap like in August, so I got to get to it. I don't have time to fumble around with this. And it's not like I can't keep it around and save it for the time that I do have the time or whatever. It's just, it's kind of the same point, Why keep it if somebody else could use it, and it'll be a game changer for somebody else. Why am I going to sit on a game changer when I'm sitting here not going to use it? It just doesn't make any sense. Wifey's home from work. Perfect timing. All right, that was it. Last episode of Fantom Friday. I will still be doing Fantom content going down, so it's not going to seem like got rid of it, but I'll keep you guys posted as things go by, and you guys will, catch wind of things. I look forward to digging into more of the Arturia stuff. And tomorrow we might do a sound design episode because there's a lot of things that I want to do with the Mini Freak to customize that. And now that I know that you could upload in Pigments, I'm going to take my sample kit and do all that and throw that into Pigments as well. So, yeah, like, subscribe, all that jazz. And, yeah, we're going to keep cruising over here and doing the damn thing. I'll keep you posted, join the channel. Do all that stuff. Anything you could do to support the channel. We're just going to be cruising along, doing our thing, and You know, this Fantom was a huge part of it, but, you know, no piece of hardware is ever going to be our identity here, you know, especially when it comes to inadequacies and, you know, stuff that, you know, we actually need versus stuff that just looks cool. And while the Fantom looks amazing and sounds amazing for the most part in a lot of ways, you know, there's a lot of things that this hardware could do that it's just not doing because, you know, the sounds aren't in there and some of the basics are not covered. And to re-answer that question, the one thing that would stand priority over everything would be the polyphony being completely tightened up, you know, to where there's no issue with it. But as far as everything else goes, you know, it's like everything else. It's just a piece of hardware. It's not really a big deal at all, you know. It's just like everything else. It's stuff. Stuff comes and goes. As far as music goes, man, you can make music off of spoons, you know. You can make a lot with very little, you know. Even acoustic, you know. You could just sit here and do acapellas all day, you know, and make it sound excellent, you know. So it's just a matter of the tools and everything like that. So I've gotten over my contentiousness with this, and hopefully somebody else will be able to use it and put it to really good use, and you know, keep it around. You know, I sure as hell would prefer to do what I'm doing now because I ended up in there anyway. So, but yeah, that analog mixer definitely clutch. So, appreciate everybody. Thanks for stopping by. Packed house tonight. Yeah, that's what happens when you don't stream all the time, you know, but it is also the final episode here, you know, and I like I said, I wanted to do something more official as far as the demonstration and everything goes, and showing you guys some things, but you know, life works out the way that it does, and for everybody tomorrow, I'll be hopefully seeing you in the Zoom in the morning in a few hours here. And other than that, you know, keep it posted and keep an eye out. And we'll be back up probably sometime this weekend. So, yeah, get knee deep into album mode with all this. So, all right. Thanks again, everybody. Take care. Love y'all. Peace.